Here, this piece has to go on first with our shims. I've cleaned that. Now I'm just going to rub some molybdenum paste right around the inside edge of the shutter release here. Where does this sit? It sits here. And the shutter's ready now to go onto the camera body. Of course, it'd be nice if everything stayed in place while I was trying to lift it into position. Where are we? It wants to be somewhere about there. But something's not sitting back in position correctly here. Oh, it's my shutter release, is it? Let's find out what's going wrong here. It sits on there correctly. Oh, it's one of these tasks you need 3 hands for. This piece here keeps getting disturbed because it has to hook behind that piece. Let's try putting it in that way round. See if I can do it this way. Yeah, look at that. That's just got to hold your mouth right. Alright, so that's located in place. And the retaining ring goes in from the back, and all I have to achieve is running that thing down. Of course, that'll probably be difficult. Let's see if I can get that started. No, I can't. It doesn't want to go. There are cheats, and one cheat is to close the camera and work with that closed. So I'll put a fold of paper over the lens and collapse the front and see if I can get my retaining ring started. Of course, I can't even get it into the gap there because it's all closed. Alright, back where we were. Just drop my retaining ring into place. Can you see? Yeah, and now I'll put that piece of paper back in there. Close up the front of the camera. This time I've got my retaining ring where I can see it, and it's down in place. Now I'll see if I can get it engaged with the thread on the back of that lens, that shutter assembly. I've already checked and made sure that it does thread on smoothly. There's no particular problem there. It's just the problem is trying to get this ring squared up and started on the threads. And the bellows, of course, are pushing the ring around to stop it presenting squarely to the shutter. This would all go much easier if I actually had a spanner that fitted this retaining ring correctly, although I think it would always be awkward, just given the limited amount of space you have to move in here. Now I'm not getting that square. Alright, let's try 2 toothpicks at the same time, and I'll bring you back as soon as I've got it done. Well, it was actually possible to get that ring started, but it took a lot of fighting. I've got to make sure that the bellows, the last pleat of the bellows, aren't caught underneath the ring. It looks like I'm okay there. Let's see if I can do that ring up. That's a good start. There's certainly insufficient clearance in here to do the job easily. Yeah, it's done. And will it behave? We cock the shutter, roll the film sprockets over, the shutter fires promptly. So that part's good. I've got to get my lens focus correct, and then I've got to set up the rangefinder. Now the lens focus, I know from looking at my previous videos, my video, that I need the tessar to be at the base when this is at roughly infinity. Well, I can tell that's far too screwed out at that point, so that lens has actually started in the wrong spot, and I will work out which one of these starting positions for the multi-start thread is correct, and I suspect it's here, and then I'll check the focus at the focal plane, and I'll see if I'm correct. I expect it's right there, which means that the focus ring would fit right here, which is exactly where I'd expect it to be. The pin here signifying the end of the movement, the infinity mark being right here. And these little screws in the here are blunt. They're blunt cylindrical things basically, and they're intended to engage with the ring on the front of the lens in these 3 little indentations. So I'll check my focus and move on. Well, that lens orientation is absolutely correct. So I'm just going to lubricate the thread of that lens now. Now I know where it goes back. So I'll put a little spot of helical thread grease in half a dozen spots around the perimeter there. Check that there's no dust. and get this back in the right position, which is not there. It's there. That's the correct position. Focus is nice and smooth. That's good. I can turn my attention to sorting out the rangefinder next. Let's just check my focus scale ring and see how this couples to this gear. The coupling is certainly not at the infinity position. Right, well, I will check the view through the rangefinder and adjust this backwards and forwards until I've got that where it should be. And right at that point, on an infinity target, the images are aligned correctly. I'm going to fit my focus scale ring temporarily. So I've got to put the cover back on here, of course, but I'll fit the focus scale ring temporarily while I check to see that everything is correctly in alignment and possibly more importantly stays where I left it. Where does that line up? Needs to be around there further, so I've got to lift this ring off and move it around further. Let's see how that lines up. Need to move it around further than that. Of course, I'm moving a discrete number of teeth each time. It's not like it's some random guesswork. That looks good. Now I'll see if I can get this focus scale ring fitted in position correctly. That hole is right over the first letter of Zeiss. Things are shifting. Let's try that. I'm checking through the finder to see what I've got. That looks pretty good to me. Checking my marker. I'm going to remove one of the other two screws over here to see if I can make sure that that hole's lined up correctly. This is really awkward. These screws are absolutely tiny. I want something smaller than that. Let me just find an instrument. Will that pass through there? Yeah, that looks right. Okay. I'm just going to... I think that should about be right on the money at that point. That would seem right. I might be one tooth out with my rangefinder and I need to see if I've got that as good as I can get it. Oh yeah, something's definitely moved there. I've got a vertical alignment problem, which means that one of my counter-rotating prisms is out of sync with the other one. Okay. Basically, I've got to turn one of my prisms one direction and leave the other one stationary. I've got to work out which way to go. It's fun. I hate this part. Back shortly. That's good now. I'm just going to pop these screws back in here on the cover. Basically, I said there were counter-rotating wheels which controlled the wedges or prisms up at this point. And when I'd put that geared wheel back in there, it had only picked up on one of them, so it had moved it. The other one hadn't moved. And it meant that I ended up with a vertical misalignment of the image. It was wasn't hard to sort out, just a bit tedious, and of course there was nothing really for you to see. But I've got it set now so that the rangefinder is bang on at infinity, nicely aligned images both vertically and horizontally. And now I've just got to put my focus ring back in place. And of course I've got to get that tiny little screw that's a little grub screw, is very, very small. Got to get that back in position, which I removed so I could see the alignment of the screw hole in the focus scale ring. Alright, so that's my four chrome screws back in place. And I'm just checking to see whether passing this... Oh, it does. Okay. That's good. It means I'm just using a paper clip here is an alignment tool, so I can align the whole with the focus ring of the camera with the front lens, and it's working really well. That allowed me to line that up. Now I can be quite confident that my screws are aligned with the scale ring. I'll get that other screw back in position. And I should be good to go. That focus moves nice and smoothly. And getting this back in position is going to be tedious. It's just too long to go lengthways through there. See if I can drop it in from the top. Wow, that's an impossible mission, that one. No. Okay, back when I've got it done. Well, rude words were said, but eventually I got to the stage where the lens is correctly focused, it's nice and clean, the rangefinder is correctly adjusted. Everything on this camera is now working as it should do. And so, I think this can go home to its owner. So, once over with a rag to clean it, make sure it's all polished and shiny, and this one can go home. Zeiss Ikon Contessa 35. I'm not in a hurry to see another one. Thanks for watching.